And that's what leaders do. That's exactly what I'd expect our first guest to do, who started every game his junior and senior season, led BYU in tackles both years at middle linebacker. At 5'11", 222 pounds, Brandon Ogletree played big. His Cougars led BYU into the first year as an independent, and he's with us tonight as the Cougars play their final season as an independent. Before joining the Big 12, we welcome Brandon Ogletree to the Wise Guys. It is great to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Lean right into that microphone.
This is cool.
Hey, how did you get the name Tree? When did that come about? So we say, hey, I say Brandon Ogletree's coming. Oh, Tree's coming. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
everybody. And that's what I said. I said, that's so cool. I love having Tree on with us. And he looks at me, and then everybody we've mentioned it to you. Oh, that's cool. Can't wait to hear from Tree.
I mean, it's I think like going back to probably 6th or 7th grade, just having teammates in sports. Everyone,
was Ogletree just too long of a name?
Yeah, it's too many syllables, and especially when you can just shorten it to Tree. It just makes it easy, I think. But
so the first time you heard Tree,
a real nickname, you can't ever choose your own nickname.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
I never told anyone to call me Tree.
They just started calling you Tree, which makes it a true nickname, and then it's.
Were your parents okay with that, Tree? Because they named you Brandon, and then your last name's Ogletree, and now they're lone boy of all the 8 kids. Everyone just calls Tree.
Yeah, I don't think they ever thought too much about it. I can ask him, but we've never talked about it.
Brandon's dad is a professor at BYU, and he's also a stake president, and everybody calls him President Tree, as far as I know.
I just call him President. I don't call him Tree.
President Tree.
When you're stake president, I'll call you President Tree. If you get a call and I say, is this President Tree? No, the Wise Guys are calling you back. All right, you're one of 8 kids. You got 7 sisters. We'll call them the Magnificent 7. Is that where you got your toughness? Because you were a very tough football player. So where did it come from?
I mean, people have floated that idea. I'm not sure how you get tough by having 7 sisters. So I don't know what to attribute it to. Exactly.
Well,
did they try to dress you up like a girl and do princess games?
My son, I'd come home from work at times, and my son, who had 3 older sisters, would be with makeup and a dress on, and I was just like, come on.
Yeah, I
was 18 months.
Lucky to be on the older end, So if I had 7 older sisters, it probably would have. I probably would have been at risk of going the other way, but I don't know. I just always, played sports, and I think I was just kind of born how I am, So.
Hey,
how I am.
Yeah, I'm the only boy in our family too, and my sisters did some ridiculous stuff to me because I was younger. I had 2 older sisters,
I'm surprised you made it.
They dressed me up in some things and made me a clown and all that. My dad would get home from work and he'd be, "What are you doing to him?" And they'd clean me all up and we'd go out and play catch, but. Hey, I've been excited to have you come on because I want to talk about this linebacking core, in particular in this Baylor game. Max Tooley tied his career high with 13 tackles. Ben Bywater, who's a sophomore, had 11. What did you think of the performance? These 2 in particular. I want to talk about the whole linebacking crew, but let's start with those 2 and what you saw out there.
I mean, I was sitting in the south end zone. When I go to the games, I like being able to sit in the end zone. As linebackers, when we watch film, we watch it. We call it the butt shot. You're watching either from behind or in front, And Max jumped out to me. I noticed him in the first game of the season. Whoa, he's fast. He's playing quick. He's getting downhill. He's hitting violently, and to do that against Baylor that's impressive. And it kind of occurred to me this guy's draftable. Which I don't think anyone has jumped off film like that. Probably since at BYU, I'd have to go back to probably Fred Warner, if you're talking about especially linebackers. But
hey, this is a picture of how you view games right here. You see that?
Yep, that's exactly where you see him from.
That's right now you're intimidating the quarterback.
No, I think I was telling Loney Fangupo to slide over.
Move over, dude.
He never used to listen to me. I was just going to go up and slap him on the rear end.
And you had to fix it, though, right? If he
right.
stays in the wrong gap, then you have to make him right?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to play the A gap and take on a center and a guard, so that's what he was for. I had to slide him over.
So you feel like Max Tooley, what you saw, your first thought was, whoa, this guy's draftable. That's how good he looked, huh?
I think it's rare to have that combination of speed and physicality, playing linebacker. And I don't know what his position is at the next level. I'm sure he can put 15 pounds on and play linebacker, because if you look at the dudes getting drafted to play linebacker now, it's safety type guys who can cover tight ends, cover backs out of the backfield, and also play the run physically. And so that to me, I'm like, wow, this he's improved, definitely.
When you look at Wilgar and Peely and Ben Bywater, who had a great season last year, kind of called into duty, and then led the team in tackles with Peely out, and then Wilgar was banged up. Now all four of them are healthy. You throw in Pepe Tanavasa, and that is such an impressive group. But we talked about on AFR today, Peely is the ringmaster, and kind of had your job, making sure everyone was in the right spots.
Peely, it's because he wears number 41, but he just reminds me so much of Wani Unga. You know, like that's who I see when I see him out there. But he's very instinctive. I think the biggest thing that this defense does well is how deep they are. I remember when we were playing, we didn't rotate. You know, if you rotated, it was because you were hurt or you were gassed. But if there were 65, 70 defensive plays, the ones played 70 defensive plays, and I think the coaching staff has made a point to rotate guys and get experience for all the depth, so that there's a ton of trust when you're throwing those dudes on the field now.
So last play of the game, at least last possession, BYU scored. They're up 6. Baylor's got the ball at the 25. They've been able to run a little bit, or at least enough. Are you confident in that this is going to be the defensive moment? And then we saw some big plays, including Micah Harper with the big tackle at the 7-yard line. Mm-hmm. But I thought, okay, here they come. The Big 12 champions are going to find a way to win this game, and they're going to do it with running the football. But they just weren't able to get it done.
The longer that game went on without BYU pulling ahead, that was my worry too. I was like, oh, here we go, Baylor, because they're deep. They're in the Big 12. They've recruited 4 and 5 and 3-star dudes, the type of recruits that BYU's trying to get. And so historically, in a lot of those situations, that's kind of when BYU's melted a little bit. And so to be able to win like we did, the craziest thing to me was Baylor abandoned the pass. They weren't even trying to throw the ball, and I don't know really. I mean, obviously our DBs were covering their receivers, and there weren't people open. But
and that kid hadn't been on the road as a starter.
Their quarterback shaping.
I mean, he had the Big 12 championship game in a neutral place, but this was a taste of something else.
He was so visibly rattled, and that's, all I could think of watching that game is how fun that game would have been to play in. When the BYU fans are going crazy, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, huge home field advantage. But that would be a difficult task going into the student section if you're a first time quarterback on the road in overtime. I don't blame him for trying to run the ball, but it was that caught me off guard. I was not expecting that.
So it comes down to that 4th and goal from the 12 or whatever. 12. And nobody was open as we looked at.
Yeah, we went and watched and broke down the film. They had 4 receivers out on the route, and I am not kidding you. They weren't even remotely open. Like BYU had 1 or 2 guys right in their lap on every. The only singled up coverage, because they doubled the other 3, was D'Angelo Mandel had the backside receiver man-to-man, and he took the route over. He was right in his face. There was no place to go with the ball.
When you can, on defense, when you can apply pressure with 4 and 5 man fronts and use the rest of the bodies to play coverage, that just makes it really hard on the quarterback. It's a really tall task. I think if you're shaping, you at least have to put the ball in play, don't you?
Try to keep it in the field. Let him try to make a play. Yeah,
so you got to at least put that thing in play. But that just kind of speaks to there was nothing there, So
as we watched the rest of the game, we're looking at the high view. I was thinking, did they not even call any vertical routes at all for this kid? And then we started to watch, and we're going, no, they could never get in. And it's not like Baylor doesn't have team speed. They've got that number 11 is faster than anybody BYU has. In fact, he's probably faster than anybody Oregon has, and that's saying something.
Oh, they're scary.
He's a legit, blazingly fast guy, like a 10.3, 900-meter guy in high school. He couldn't run by people. BYU's coverage, every deep ball, every route that they ran deep, BYU was on top of that route, and I thought, whoa, that's 2 things. First of all, BYU's got more speed in the secondary as a whole than they've had in a long time, and secondly, their schemes were really right on. They were prepared and in the right spots. It was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the schemes were super buttoned down. Can I say something about Kalani and
say whatever you want?
Yeah.
Well, I just think they're I've heard I talk to people who see me, they talk about BYU football, and a lot of things that I hear about Kalani, and especially on defense, is that Kalani is he's the player's coach, probably a little loosey-goosey, you know what I mean? And that's kind of been the perception. Dave Aranda at Baylor is probably, for my money, the best coach in the country. You know, aside from, you know, obviously I'm a BYU fan, so I'll put Kalani up there. But, like, if you talk to football people, like, Dave Aranda is extremely highly respected from the time he was at LSU, even at Utah State. Like, he's like a Bronco, but with better PR. You know what I mean? As far as, like, just being disciplined, dialed down, schemes on point. BYU out-Baylored Baylor, especially in the second half. Like, our DBs were smothering them. There was nowhere to throw. There was no daylight. And I just think that, like, I think it's time to, like, respect Kalani as, like, a real football coach, one of those guys, you know. In the
when Marie Osmond was here, she was saying it's time for everyone to embrace Elisa Tuiaki as a really good defensive player, and it bothered her.
Where are you coming up with that? And she's just like, I'm telling you.
Tired of hearing people knock him.
Yeah, she goes,
that's what she said.
Like, and she mentioned some stats, and then she said, this is going to be the year everybody's going to go, yeah, Elisa deserves more credit. Marie Osmond said that.
Marie Osmond has it going on. But, that, I mean, that's exactly what I saw on you know, I kept – especially in that second half, I kept waiting for the dam to break, you know? Like, dude, Baylor, you know, they're so physical.
We're going to get tired. And
we're going to get worn out, and it never did, you know? And that's super impressive, just speaking to the type of guys that they brought in, the type of talent that we have, but also coaching. Like, our players were ready for that game, you know? And there's so much that goes into getting players ready. But I was super impressed, especially with the back half of the defense.
Former BYU linebacker Brandon Ogletree is on the Wise Guys tonight. We're going to walk down memory lane with you in just a moment on some of your big moments. But let's talk about Oregon and the challenges that await in Eugene on Saturday for this linebacking core, for the defense, for everyone for that matter. It's a huge game for both teams. What do you see?
I mean, Oregon is always going to have a very talented roster. You know, the facilities up there and the, I guess, the Nike relationship, it brings in a certain type of recruit. They've always had speed. Dan Lanning comes from Georgia, really good coach. You know, I think he was the
D coordinator there, yeah.
On that national championship team last year. And so they'll be ready. I think, I mean, I don't want to get ahead, put the cart ahead of the horse, you know, but
we do that all the time.
Watching both teams play, I think BYU is going to put it on them. I really do. I just think BYU is too physical. I didn't watch Oregon last week, but I watched them in that Georgia game, and they got bullied, you know.
Yeah, and BYU's not Georgia because nobody's Georgia right now, right? Like Alabama's not. I'm going to say this: Alabama's not Georgia right now. They're elite. I feel like there's been a changing of the guard. I think Georgia's the best program in the country right now. They were last year, and I think the way they look this year, they're looking every bit that again. But BYU is probably as physical as Georgia up front. That caused Oregon all kinds of problems. So BYU doesn't maybe have all the skill guys that Georgia has, but BYU's offensive line, I'll put them up with Georgia's offensive line, and Georgia pushed Oregon around.
I mean, if you look at our O-line and our D-line, those dudes are so big, and they can all move, you know. And that we've had big dudes before, and we've had dudes that can move. I don't know if we've had this combination in a long time of big dudes who can move, and so I'm excited to see it. But it's going to be tough for Oregon. They're going to be a lot smaller than BYU. Like it's going to look a lot like that Georgia game physically. If we let them out on the perimeter, I think it's going to get tough. Like they can obviously put up points. They're fast, awesome skill players. That's what Oregon's known for. I do want to see them try to stop our run game.
Bo Nix is not Marcus Mariota in any stretch,
true.
and I agree with you. I think it's going to be another physical collision there at the line of scrimmage, and I don't think Oregon is better than Baylor.
No,
bigger, stronger,
I think Baylor's more physical than Oregon. I think Oregon may have a few more skills. But here's the thing about Oregon. They have a ton of talent.
Yeah.
But they're really young this year. Like, they lost their top three receivers. They lost they were really surprised when Travis Dye, their fifth all-time leading rusher who had a year left of eligibility, decided to transfer to USC. That kind of left them with three, like a sophomore, a Minnesota transfer, and a Western Kentucky transfer that have been sharing the load at running back. They're not Dye. He's a phenomenal player.
I think hearing their coaches talk, I think the Sewell kid, who's who's a sophomore,
phenomenal player,
is kind of like the team leader, is what it sounds like.
and he's a sophomore,
amazing player, obviously, but that kind of speaks to how young they are. I think the challenge for BYU this week, going on the road to that stadium, and you guys talked about it earlier. I didn't realize the students weren't in school, but that place is always
they may come just for the game. It'll be really, really interesting to see because their game plan's so different than Baylor. Even with the new coaching staff, we saw last week against Eastern Washington, they're going to get the ball out quick to the perimeter and screens and bubbles and that kind of stuff and see if they can, in space, make people miss. Now, BYU this last week against Baylor, Dave Nixon and I were looking at it and we're going, wow, BYU's unbelievably disciplined. They had inside leverage. They had somebody running the alley. They had outside leverage on every play. And so if they can have that discipline against Oregon, I just can't see Oregon lining up and running it at BYU.
BYU looks so well coached right now. Like I'm very impressed with just not only how hard they play, but just like you said, the execution. Like guys they're not missing their gap responsibilities. It's fun to watch.
Well, their quarterback isn't turning the ball over. He's in complete command of what's going on out there, and he's the leader on and off the field.
He looks so poised.
Looks like an NFL guy.
I watched a couple times where he waited to the very last second to break the pocket. He kept his eyes downfield the entire time. Used his speed to scramble for 7 yards on a 3rd and 6. Like that's awesome stuff.
And it really I was impressed with how much trust he has for that O-line. He just stood in there. He's like, "Wow, my guys are going to keep people away." There were some 5-6 second throws that remind me of the old days. But it's been funny, Tree, when I talking to the coaching staffs over the years. You're talking about, okay, this team coming up, and they'll go, "Oh man, they got this guy that looks like this. He is a beast," and then that guy, and then they always end up like, "Man, these guys have some dudes. Like they have some dudes. Like Baylor last year, man, they got some dudes."
And 6 of those dudes went to the NFL.
Right. So this year it's been interesting because BYU has spent 5 years developing these offensive linemen. A bunch of those guys started as freshmen. You remember when Brady Christensen was 250 as a freshman starting at left tackle, and now he's a starting tackle for the Panthers, right? But so now they got this thing going, and it's interesting to talk because they'll go, "Man, Oregon's got this guy, and we're gonna have to do a good job on this guy, and man, they have some dudes." And then it always ends with this. But we have some dudes. We have some dudes. Like that's something they haven't said for a few years, and now they're like, "Yeah, we got some dudes too."
How about the kid that we got from Oregon?
Kingsley.
Oh my gosh, man, he is a mountain who can move his feet.
6'6", 330, and can run.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's reuniting with the Ducks on Saturday.
He's going to be pretty excited about that. And BYU's really. They've got Tyler Batty, who got a little nicked up. That's likely he still will play. We're still waiting to hear on Puka, but they played without Puka and Gunner last week. We're waiting to hear on Puka. Gunner's probably got another week or so, but Puka's chance to play. They're 100% healthy on defense. 100% coming out of the Baylor game. And you talk about rotating. Does that contribute to that?
Yeah, well, for sure, because when do injuries happen? When you're tired, when you're fatigued. That's when you pull a hamstring. You've been running too much, right? It's funny. I was talking to one of my buddies about how, like, back when I was playing, if we would have gone into like our biggest game of the season, and it's like, dude, shoot, Cody's not playing. Cody Hoffman, our best receiver.
Right.
It's like we're looking around. You look around at the receiving room. It's like, hey, who's going to step up and fill those shoes? And it's like this Baylor game. Speaking to our depth, Puka's down, Romney's down. And then Chase Roberts, who nobody even remembered because he's in a signing class from half a decade
4 years ago.
Yeah, because he went on a mission and redshirted.
Like he steps up and he looks like one of the best receivers in the country, you know, and speaks a lot, obviously, to Fessy and like what a good job he's done with that group.
Because Keanu Hill on the other side doesn't drop. Cody Epps, a freshman, he doesn't drop any passes.
They just don't drop balls. This group for the last 2 years doesn't drop balls.
That's a good point. They really don't, man. And we have receivers that obviously can put the ball in or quarterbacks that can put the ball in the money. But going back again, I know it's like beating a drum, but I just think we look so well coached. That's receivers who catch difficult passes, contested passes. It's a really good sign that those dudes are coached up, and
I wonder
receivers don't come out of high school doing that.
No, they drop balls and they lose. I wonder if Fessy has the same motto that Norm Chow used to have in the olden days. So, Norm, we'd be watching a play, somebody make a great play, and everybody go like, "Oh, wait," and you go, "Why are you guys acting like that's a big deal?" He goes, "Our motto is the difficult catches are routine, And the impossible ones just take a little more practice. Like, so don't make a big deal out of that difficult catch. Those are routine for us.
What's amazing is these aren't really difficult catches because Jaron is putting the ball only where his receivers can get it. I mean, they're all capable of that, but like Puka can get it wherever. Yeah, but these guys, Chase Roberts turns around, the ball's right in his stomach from 37 yards downfield, and he just does that over and over again.
I mean, Jaron looks like he's playing 7-on-7 back there. That guy has so much time, and like he has the cleanest pocket I've seen in a really long time, which is awesome. And then when he has to break the pocket, that's like his superpower. He can use his speed to get out on the edge. Someone's open, it's a nice pitch and catch, and if not, it's like, okay, we'll go get 5 yards and get out of bounds, not take the hit.
What if you were to project now this week? Give us a few keys of what BYU needs to do. And you say you feel good about it, like you think they'll do a great job up there. What do you want to see, and what do you need to see for them to?
Hey, and before you do that, just to build your confidence, Forrest Cook writes in, Tree goes down as an all-time great linebacker at BYU. Great to hear him breaking it down. Looks like he could still suit up. With all of that, now roll out your keys to the game.
What do you weigh right now?
I weigh 231. Probably
9 pounds more than your playing weight. That's it.
I think that playing weight must have been like probably from when I first got to BYU.
Yeah, you played at like 230, didn't you?
Probably 230.
So you're the same.
You're the same. All right. I'm in between.
So yeah, you could go. What you're saying, you could get in there.
I could play 3 downs.
3 downs, like right in a row, or would they have to be spread out?
No, they could be in a row. I couldn't play a full series, so it's got to be a 3 and out.
I can play, but I can only be all-time quarterback, and they have to count 5 Mississippis before they rush. Now I can still throw it around, but that's it.
You were in the alumni game though, so you've been back on the field.
Oh yeah, man, that was easy though. You just kind of stand around and crack jokes.
Lay out 3 keys, and then we're going to get to your personal history.
Yeah, give us three things you got to see.
Anytime you're playing on the road, especially against a good team at a loud stadium, you have to jump up early. And that's what Baylor didn't do. Baylor let BYU kind of ease their way into the game. The crowd stayed in it. I think you got to take the crowd out of it. So that's number one. Like, especially going on the road for the offense in a loud stadium, you know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it presents a unique challenge that's hard to practice for. So I would say that's number one: is come out early, come out swinging. You don't want to sleepwalk through the first quarter, and that let them get up 2 touchdowns. That's going to be a tough road to hoe trying to come back from that. Be the more physical team, and I think BYU will be. I just think that's kind of in our DNA now, is we're built more physical than them. And then the other thing I would say is, like, especially so far this season, I think if you can point to a weakness for our offense, it's got to be third down. Like, I think we're probably one of the are we one of the worst teams in the I think we're like not in the top 75 of third down percentage on offense.
We weren't great on Saturday on third downs.
I want to say it's like 10 for 27 or 37 or something like that.
Yeah, I'll look it up for you. And that first game they didn't have a lot of third. They didn't get into third down.
So throw that one out, right?
But this last week you're exactly right. They didn't do a great job on third down.
What happens when you don't convert on third down is the defense doesn't get any rest, and I was actually worried about that in the Baylor game, is these 3 and out. That puts a lot of stress on the defense. So I think if the offense can stay in front of the chains, eat some clock, put drives together, especially early in the game, that's going to make it so much easier on a defense who's going to have to defend a lot of fast athletes, especially on the perimeter.
Dang, I was looking for third down percentage, and the ESPN app doesn't have. Oh, here we go. Third down percentage, 37.04, 10 of 27.
10 of 27. So,
yeah.
I mean, ideally, you're converting 2 out of 3.
Now, they're better in fourth. They're 3 of 3 in fourth.
And somehow they have 76 points in those 2 games.
My feeling is third down, you want to have a great third down percentage, you got to be productive, as you mentioned. You got to be ahead of the chains to start with. First down production always translates to great third down. Like, if you can go get 5 to 6 yards on first down consistently, all of a sudden you're 60-something% from third down.
Don't go tempo on 2nd and 10. That was stressing me out watching the game on Saturday. Like, why are we tempoing behind the chains? It's good to go tempo when it's 3rd and 2.
Right.
When it's 2nd and 3.
Don't let him get set.
So, because what that does is you just took a minute off the clock for the defense to be on the sideline catching its breath.
Or you get in a situation where you caught them in a substitution where you've got them you've got a big package in and they don't. And you're like, we're just going to run. We're going to just run plays right at them right now, so that they don't have a chance to. But you're exactly right. Don't have a no yardage gain on first down or a loss of one, and then tempo on second and 10 or 11.
Save the tempo for when we gain 8 yards on first down.
That's good advice. I think Aaron's listening to this show, or his people are, so make some notes there.
His people do.
All right, Brandon Ogletree's with us for a couple more minutes. Final year of independence for BYU. You were in the first group back in 2011. You go to Ole Miss for the first game as an independent. You win it with the defense on a fumble return. What was that like, starting a new era of BYU football like that with a 14-13 defensive victory in the SEC?
So that's a funny question. I might be the wrong guy to ask. I actually got KO'd in that game. So
Can you not remember it?
I remember pieces.
Well, you guys won in case you.
Yeah, no, I mean.
What do you mean you got KO'd?
I got knocked out.
Knocked out cold.
So there was a throw to their tight end, in I think it was the beginning of the third quarter. Like I said, I don't remember that much of it. I've watched it. I've gone and rewatched it since then. But I tried to hit him low, and he dipped his helmet, and we hit head to head. His helmet popped off, and so they went to injury timeout, or we were both just laying on the ground like stoned.
Oh wow!
And you were out. Huh?
I was out, man. And so I came to the sideline and was acting loopy. Obviously, they took my helmet off, and literally all I remember from that game is celebrating at the end of it when Kyle had the strip sack. So
I did not know that you were out.
Ask my teammates about that, and they'll tell you funny stories about what Tree was doing on the sideline.
Crazy stuff you were saying, all of that. Oh. Okay, well then let's take.
Well, that's a memory though. In the first game, you got knocked out cold.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Some of the places you had a chance to play. I mean, you got to play at number 5 Notre Dame, 2 tackles for loss in that game. What do you remember from that Notre Dame experience?
Just such a cool place, man. I remember thinking, like, man, I wish our fans were just like this devoted, because I don't remember how many people their stadium seats, but it felt pretty heavy, and they were just all there 8 hours before the game, and the coolest thing I thought about that stadium was it is like a monument to football. You look up, there's no advertisements, it's not like Del Taco sponsors the third quarter, whatever. It is just football. Like, I don't think there's a single advertisement in their stadium. It's just a scoreboard. It's like the diagonal lines painted in the end zone, and it's like, let's play football. And then you hear their band,
old school,
their
right?
band plays the bagpipes, it's just such a cool place. I'm not sure if it's still like that. It feels like it's 20 years.
I think
it's
like
the same.
That.
It's the same.
It was pretty quiet Saturday when Marshall went in to be.
Yeah, but they've kept those traditions for so many years. It really is a cool place.
I mean, and then just we played them. That was the team that was the Manti Te'o team that played Alabama in the national championship. We played them really close. Probably a game we all felt like we should have won that game. Yeah. So, I think on paper we actually did win that game, didn't we?
On paper? Did it count on paper?
They stripped wins from Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, on paper I think we did.
So I think we were
I get what you're saying.
Congratulations.
Like on paper, because we had more stats.
Nice job. You're the first person to congratulate me on that.
Yeah, congratulations on that Notre Dame.
Went in there and took them down. Oregon State, you go on the road, and that was a pretty good game. You forced 2 fumbles. You had an interception. Beat them by 10. Remember that?
I do remember that. Stayed conscious for the entirety of that game.
He's conscious.
Congratulations again.
Oregon State's a cool place to play. I think they were kind of down that year. They actually came back and beat us the next year, my senior year. But, I mean, that was just a fun road trip.
That was your kind of day.
Yeah. How about the Poinsettia Bowl? Kyle Van Noy, 2 defensive touchdowns, but you set the block on his pick 6. You did throw the block that I feel like you get the credit.
Sprung him to the end zone.
You get the credit for the picks for the pick.
Everyone
6.
Who goes to you can YouTube that
we'll
play.
We'll give him the pick, but you should get the 6.
I always joke with Kyle that I'm the one that got him paid because if you really want to go back and look, and I'm joking obviously, but if you really want to go back and look at all of our blitzes, I'm the one usually occupying either the tackle or the guard,
and he comes in
can come through
to the glory. And
so I'm waiting. He's actually Kyle's one of the best teammates ever.
Yes,
he's like Kyle. I probably talk to him 2 or 3 times a week to this day. He's just such a cool dude. And so he hooks me up with tickets,
if people YouTube that San Diego State game, and on that pick 6, and he makes the catch.
Everybody go back and look
Number
at
44 is making the block that springs him to the end zone.
I have a picture of what my entire back, because my family, we were down in San Diego. My family went to Disneyland the day after.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going. So I remember staying in the hotel and just like laying down in a cold, dark
Why didn't you
hotel
go?
room.
Why'd you have to be like that?
Well, like
He was
the
all beat
entire-
up.
The entire, it wasn't from that block, but that block probably helped. But the entire like back side of my back was bruised.
Just
like,
bruised. Yeah, you don't want to be on the Matterhorn if that's the deal.
That game, Dave and I were down there covering it. I said to Dave at that time, and I still hold true to this, and that's, I don't know that I've ever seen a defensive player single-handedly take over a game and reverse the pattern of the game and win the game. Like it's,
it's usually a quarterback or
Yeah.
the running back.
yeah,
switch
like
to
like
another gear.
the series of plays that Kyle put out there at the end of that game, I was just like, Kyle Van Noy just almost single-handedly just did that. That's so rare, isn't it?
Kyle had a knack, like, just for getting to the ball and like getting the ball out, getting the ball in his hands, like, and it wasn't just games. It happened all the time in practice where you're just like, why? How does the ball always end up in your hands? That never made any sense. But
All right, here's the final question for you. Then we'll do
They're gonna do
five
five
quick
questions.
DJ, will you put up that picture from high school? So let's go back to before your ninth grade
man.
year.
Hey, and Jack, can we turn that fan on a little bit? Like the 200-pound guys are sweating over here.
it's hot in here.
It's hot in here. So
So let's go back to before your ninth grade year.
Okay.
You get a heart murmur detected,
Yeah.
and for a period of time, you're told that's it for you. There's no sports. And a bit later, you get cleared to come back and play, and then you get everything back. How did that experience of losing what you love and then getting it back transformed you into a player that played at the highest level, had your college education paid for, one of the great middle linebackers in BYU lore? Can you remember that time where it was like, hey, you know what you're not going to be is a football player? And
Yeah.
did we see that picture already, Mr. Mean high school guy?
I remember that vividly. You go to do your physical, your mandatory physical. I think, it was before my freshman year. And, all the kids left with their little piece of paper that said they could play. And I had to go get an echocardiogram. And it was really scary. And I just remember, I had like all these tests. And eventually, it took about 2 or 3 weeks. But they're like, okay, you should be good. It seems like a benign murmur. And I just remember
that's a little disconcerting. Oh, it's just a benign murmur.
Well, yeah, and I just remember being like so grateful, to be able to play football. And so, if you ask my dad, he would be like, that was the year you kind of kicked it into a different gear.
Yeah.
And it probably was. And I didn't really think about it like that, but I just remember how happy I was to be able to play football again.
Well, DJ, if you can put up the Ogletree family shot, we'll let you introduce your family with your wife, Amanda. Who do we
There's
got
the
here? This
gang.
was after the victorious Navy alumni victory at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on BYU TV, which we had a chance
Navy
to
beat
call.
Royal. Was
So
it?
who do we got in this
I
shot?
don't remember who won, but okay. So this is my beautiful wife Amanda and our 6 kids. Let's start with the baby. His name is Michael Jordan.
Nice.
And then the baby that I'm holding, he's 2. His name is Joe.
Okay.
And then down in the front, that's Johnny. Johnny's the killer.
He's the middle linebacker.
Between him and baby Michael Jordan, those are going to be 2.
Those are the 2 hopes for the future?
Well, and then so Luke over on the left side of the picture, I coach Luke right now.
He looks like he's the guy who wants the ball on offense.
Wait, how old is Luke?
So I was going to talk to you about this. Luke is in 5th grade, and so if you look at the top of the standings, you see Fowler and you see Peterson at Mountain View.
Oh.
You're going up against his boy?
The Fowler boys are on a collision
Yeah,
course.
Landon's coaching.
We don't play each other in the regular season, though.
We should get that on TV.
So maybe it's going to be is it the mini bowl? What's it called?
I don't know, but there are playoffs.
That could be great.
be the
yeah.
Rice Krispie Bowl.
That's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
Luke's having a fun season, and then my 2 daughters, Addie and Leah, they're into all types of girly stuff.
Awesome.
That's fun. So it's Luke that's playing at that age. And what does he play, linebacker? And
Yeah, he plays a little linebacker. He plays a little quarterback. He's kind of like, I tell him he's like.
He looks
the
like a
Swiss-
quarterback.
Tell him he's the Swiss Army knife, like Taysom. If we need someone to go in an X or at Z. He at least knows all the plays,
Taysom played great this week. Yeah, so Landon's coaching and basically running BYU's offense,
Yeah.
of course, and then Bradley, my grandson, is our oldest. he's playing wide receiver and free safety, and he's blazingly fast. So they utilize him. Yeah, he's
The jet sweep.
Yeah, he's the jet sweep guy. Well, I'm watching him last week. I'm more proud when he makes great defensive plays. And they ran a bubble screen, and he was the alley runner from free safety. And I was like, and he makes a tackle from safety, 5 yards deep in the backfield. I'm like, oh, baby, that's my grandson right there. That's awesome. They use his speed.
Are they playing with James Lark?
No,
Okay, that was last year,
James is on a different. This is their first year for like 12 of those kids on his team. It's their first year playing tackle, like with your guys, right? So,
are you a good coach? Are you a good coach, or are you a mean coach? And are you?
I probably am a very mean coach,
like Mike Ditka kind of guy.
No, but I have to catch myself sometimes because I realize I'm talking to the kids like they're probably a lot older than they are, But I have a lot of fun. Like I love it.
That's good.
It's been like a blast. So
it's such a fun age, and Landon's whole. And I'm sure you guys are doing this too. Landon's whole thing is, I want to teach these kids about football because. Although the parents all think their kid's going to play in the NFL, most of them aren't even going to make it in high school, right? And he wants them to appreciate the game so that when they watch the game later in life, they can say, I played, I understand this, I love this game. And so his whole goal is to make sure those kids love the game, which is really cool.
Dude, exactly that. And also, it's been so cool to watch these kids not just develop talents, but, learn how to get knocked down and then pop back up. I think that's probably the most valuable life skill these kids will ever learn, And so to take kids who I would, let's be real, they were soft. When they come in, they've never played football before. They don't know they don't know what it feels like to get hit, And then 3-4 years into it, they're hardened dudes who hit people and they like hitting, and it's just really cool to watch. So
watch that develop. It's really fun. Well, I hopefully I don't know what it's called, the Mini Bowl, the Super Bowl, whatever it is. That'd be so fun if those two teams.
We'll have to we'll keep an eye on that as the season develops.
Keel and Nixon, their kids are on the same team and they coach them but they're up in Draper. It's kind of it's a foo-foo league up there. It's Draper, right? So.
All right, 5 questions for Brandon Ogletree, and we'll let you go. We sure appreciate you coming in on the Wise Guys.
And these are
tonight.
rapid. First thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
So. Speak right into that microphone. Favorite sports movie? Rapid fire.
Probably remember the Titans. I know.
Thank you.
Titans. That's a popular one.
That's mine. The other one is.
Hoosiers been
Hoosiers.
good.
Hoosiers been there, but I'm like,
I
please.
love Hoosiers.
No, and I'm like, don't go with a basketball.
What's wrong with the Hoosiers?
I don't know. It's just kind of boring.
Wow. Okay.
I'm making a note of that.
Favorite singer or band?
Oh my gosh.
See if he's really Texas country.
If I'm really Texas country, shout out to my father-in-law's band, the 8 Seconds Band.
The 8 Seconds Band?
I've never even heard of them.
You better look them up.
The 8 Seconds Band. We look that up.
I'm gonna look them up. Everybody, look up the 8 Seconds Band.
When they play for 8 seconds, or what?
I think 8 seconds is like a play on the rodeo. It's
stay on the bull for 8
seconds.
I'm the least musical person ever. People, if you ask me my favorite artist or singer or whatever, I honestly don't know.
Okay, the 8 Seconds Band. All right, well, they'll appreciate that.
Okay, your favorite breakfast cereal? It's very important.
Honey Bunches of Oats, probably.
Really?
Honey Bunches of Oats.
That's a new one.
We haven't heard that one. And is that a sugar cereal or is it like all natural?
I mean, I'm sure it is 100% sugar, but it's not. It's not billed.
But because it's got the word honey.
No, we
we
respect sugar cereals in this place.
On this show, that's what we do.
I mean, I try if you want my honest answer.
Well, we're not asking for the other answers.
The thing is, I've cut out cereal because I'm a cereal fiend. I will eat 4 bowls of cereal at night before I go to bed. So I try not to eat it.
Dennis Pitta tell us that exact same problem.
I am very disciplined, but I did have a bowl of Frosted Flakes right before I came here.
I had a bowl of Captain Crunch.
So if it's
literally
for dessert, it's
5 minutes.
It's a s'more cereal.
Okay, s'mores. So the truth comes out.
Okay, now that's a good sugar cereal.
Yeah, that's very sugar.
All right. Favorite?
What was Keel's?
I don't know what Keel's was, but Pitta had a problem with cereal at night. Said I could eat the whole box.
I could literally.
It's
pound
not
the box.
good. Okay, you got the next one?
Favorite linebacker?
Zach Thomas.
Nice.
All right.
I like Zach Thomas.
Okay.
Favorite hit. So the biggest hit you ever made in a game. Not the favorite hit of your favorite hit of all time.
I had a good one. I think it was my sophomore year against San Diego State. At the end of the game, they were the score was close. I think they were driving to either tie or take the lead, and they were kind of backed up. probably on like their own 20, and it was third, or I think it was fourth down. I think it was fourth and like 15, and they just threw a deep crosser to the tight end. I smacked him, separated the ball. That was probably my favorite hit.
Nice to hit those big guys and separate
Chad
them.
Lewis reminds me of it. I think he's the only person that ever saw it, because like every time I see Chad, he's like
love
that hit against San Diego State.
Well, and he remembers when tight ends get hit. It makes him hurt a little bit himself. How about that hit by Max Tooley in the game on Saturday when he came up midfield and just about knocked that dude out?
I love how downhill these guys are playing, man. It's hard to get hits like that because everyone runs so lateral now. Everything's outside zone, and so to be able to fill a hole like that, that's special.
It's fun.
Now, look, both Blaine and I work for your dad in the stake, but we want you to have nothing to do with you getting on this show tonight. You're on this show tonight because you were one of the meanest, toughest, most successful middle
your dad's
linebackers at
riding
BYU.
your coattails is what's happening right now.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He's for sure my biggest fan, so I'm sure he's listening right now. Hi, Dad.
Yes, he should be, as everyone should be. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, this is fun.
We look forward to having you again.
Love having you. We'll bring you later in the season to help us break down this defense. If they keep playing like this, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Brandon Ogletree,
Thanks, Brandon.
middle linebacker, number 44. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.